Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, blogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments, vlogs such as
5 Minutes with the G,
The Straight Shooting View,
Coaching with JBK,
audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Podomatic, Spotify,
Mixcloud
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and our official website www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat,
the pitch is where we sleep,
and the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
Welcome to
Coaching with JBK. Welcome. It's yours truly, JBK, with another WSL and Championship Roundup coming your way for the last 2 weeks. So I'm not just going to go with just last week that's just gone, the weekend just gone. I'm going to go with last weekend's results as well. And it's interesting because a lot of games were called off over that period of time due to COVID, but there were games that were played and there were some incredible results, some that you didn't expect to happen, and some performances that were interesting with or without the result. So, starting off with the WSL, Sunday the 9th of January, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Manchester City 6. Brighton are in a position where they were doing so well in the first half of the season that it really is starting to become good, in a sense that they've picked up the results early enough, because they're on a slide at the moment and they really need to rest that. And I'll get to that in terms of their next result from this weekend as we speak. Okay, so Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Manchester City 6. All of the goals came in the second half. All of them. First one was an own goal by Williams. 2 minutes later, it was Lauren Hemp with a goal. Georgia Stanway literally a minute later. Coombs with another goal 4 minutes later. And then nothing for about 20 minutes before Rasso and Lasada put the game to bed. If it wasn't already done, it was after the 5th and 6th goal. Tough for Brighton, but I said this before about Manchester City. You've got to wait until they've got their full team back. Once they've got their full team back, can guarantee you they will be going up the table like nothing. And I guarantee you it's only because of those injuries to key players why they were pretty much ninth for at one point in time. So now that they've got those players coming back, no disrespect to their players at the moment. No disrespect to the players that they've had who have got the wins against teams like Leicester. But at the end of the day, where they were in October, even November, to where they're going now, those players who have basically really come back with a lot of fire in their heart and really looking to go for it, like Lucy Bronze, Steph Houghton, it's going to show where Manchester City really are in terms of players and going forward. What it might suggest at the moment is maybe Manchester City need a second squad. And what I mean by that is if they've got players who are out, and they had quite a few players out, ironically, then surely they would have enough players who can really step up and take the reins in that area. Credit to Lauren Hemp and Georgia Stanway for basically doing what they needed to do throughout the season so far and keeping Manchester City in the mix as much as possible. It is now going to be interesting where Manchester City go when they've got all the complement of their players coming back. So let's see what happens. But that was the first game. So well done to Manchester City. Brighton, hopefully they pick up some results on the way. It'll be interesting to see how they do. And hopefully they start picking up points going into February, maybe March. and then hopefully we'll see where they're at by the end of the season. Moving on to the next result, the one that really stood out on this particular weekend for myself: Birmingham City 2, Arsenal 0. Now this was interesting because it's basically top versus bottom, or bottom versus top, I should say. And you're kind of going, wait, these are the type of results that you just don't hear about. But for an advert of the WSL, this is exactly what was needed. This is exactly what was needed. You had Birmingham, who basically just outplayed Arsenal on the day. Outplayed Arsenal and did what they needed to do. Arsenal were very passive in their movement. Weren't really getting the ball moving as quickly as possible. And Birmingham had more chances, more shots than Arsenal. Eventually it told, to the point where you're thinking, okay, how is this possible? The possession stats will always go in the favour of Arsenal, but at the same time, possession is nothing if you don't use that to get your goals. And with the limited possession that Birmingham had, they got 2 goals in the first half and then contained Arsenal as best as possible in the second. So the first goal came in the 3rd minute of the game, literally in the 3rd minute. Smith with a goal, and then the second one came 3 minutes from half time. So the irony of 3. Here, Sarri with the goal to make it 2-0 to Birmingham City just before half time, and Arsenal just didn't have an answer. If Manchester City, Manchester United, Spurs, any of those teams, I'm looking at that result and saying, the next time we play Arsenal, we've got a chance. And not just that, but we can basically we can knock them off their perch. They've now lost the game. It's going to be one of those where either Arsenal continue to play well and get the results that they need against teams like Manchester City, against teams like Spurs, against teams like Manchester United, or they start to slide down the table and end up finishing 3rd. But the question will be, where will Arsenal finish? Can they pick up results going forward? And that's going to be big. The same thing with Birmingham City. Can they pick up results as well to stave off relegation? If they can, it will be a great escape. They've not had the best of luck all season, and hopefully this will be a turnaround. This will be a massive turnaround. Moving on, the next game and the last one of that weekend was Reading 1, Leicester City 0. So, with this one, the goal was scored very early, and it was a very good goal from the highlights that I've seen. But Leicester City basically tried their hardest, put a lot of work in to make sure that it was only 1-0. Could have got themselves goals in the game. Could have even won it. But Natasha Dowie with a goal in the 11th minute, giving Reading the win. Tough to see how Reading was gonna. Reading have become resilient. That's the best way to put it. Reading have become resilient. They had a tough start to the season. They've now picked up points where they needed to. They've had Manager of the Month awards in November. And also, they're now picking up the points where they need to against the teams below them. Let's see if Reading can continue this and possibly finish in the top 4. You never know. It could happen. For Leicester City, it will be interesting if they can continue their performances and get the wins that they deserve, so that they can start moving up the table. Moving on to this weekend, and we'll get into the Championship a little bit later. Moving on to this weekend, as I mentioned with Birmingham City, they got the result against Arsenal, but they couldn't follow it up against Manchester United. And the result here was Manchester United 5, Birmingham City 0. Tough. That's a tough result. Either way, it's not easy, and it was something where you kind of go, well, you need something out of this, Birmingham, but they just didn't have it. For basically the first, between the 12th minute and the 19th minute, Birmingham City had conceded 3 goals. And that's tough on Birmingham City when they're trying to hold on and really maintain their shape defensively and try to make sure that Manchester United don't allow their runners to get in behind. They did have a shot in the game, cannoned off the crossbar, but that was their only shot of the game, unfortunately. Katie Zellum with the first goal, Leah Goldson with 2 goals in the first half after that, and then Ramsey with an own goal at the end of the first half, with Russo with the final goal in the second half. As far as it looks, it's looking bleak, but at the same time, let's see what Birmingham City can do against teams in and around them, just to see if they can push Leicester to a real sort of fight for relegation. Are they looking to be relegated? No, of course not. But it is an interesting conundrum that they find themselves in. And hopefully, this will give Manchester United a chance to move forward, but also Birmingham City a chance to see where they can move out of relegation places. With those type of teams like Manchester United, Manchester City, you kind of just count your blessings and hope that you don't concede too many. Unfortunately for Birmingham City, they've conceded quite a lot. But let's see what happens. In the other Manchester versus Midlands game, it was Aston Villa 0, Manchester City 3. Interesting, and as I said, Manchester City are now resurgent and really moving up the table again and really going for it. Stanway with a goal in the 5th minute, Losada with a goal on the 41st minute. Greenwood with the yellow card, but Stanway getting her goal in the 75th minute to wrap up the game. And what a touch that she took and made sure that she put the ball in the back of the net with a first time finish. Great cross coming in, and with the first time finish, she finished off the game in the 75th minute. Moving into this, like as I said, and I can't really understand. I think the appreciation for what Manchester City have will start to show in terms of the quality of the players that they've got. If you look at the first game that they played against Everton, it was only 4-0. They had very good players really stepping up, and then a lot of the players got injured. A lot of the players got injured to the point where yesterday's game wasn't even with the first team goalkeeper. It's Kiara Keaton, who really stepping out of her shell and really coming through the Man City ranks. So well done to Man City for bringing in a new goalkeeper and really pushing herself as well to get into that game. Clean sheet as well for Keaton. You never know. That's another good thing for her and her on her debut, and that she can move it into, okay, well, I've had time with the first team. I now know what is expected of me, and I really want to really be in a position where, if it comes to the worst, I'm now going to be the first choice goalkeeper for the future. Good luck to Kiara, and good luck to Manchester City for the rest of the season. Aston Villa losing this one, I don't think it's going to really derail them too much, but they do need to put some points on the board if they don't want to be part of the relegation fight towards the bottom of the table. It's a big one for a lot of teams to see, because if I'm Birmingham City, Leicester City, even Everton, I'm really thinking, okay, well, there's a chance. There's a chance for me to step in, and possibly put points on the board and try and gain a bit of a level up on Aston Villa. But at the moment, we've got too many games postponed, so it could be that you see 3 or 4 games played just once, just in a week. So that could even curtail a lot of teams' season, with having a pile up of games that they've had cancelled because of COVID, where they've now got to play 3 or 4 games that week. However, Everton only having to really focus on FA Cup duties. It's not really something that they need to really focus too much on. And it probably won't be something that they need to really push themselves for in terms of the season ahead. So they won't have too many games to play going forward. They'll probably have 2 games a week at the moment, because they also had a game cancelled this weekend as well. They also had a game cancelled last weekend. So essentially, it will be an interesting one if Everton can continue to pick up points where possible. One of those games is against Chelsea. The other one is against Aston Villa. Hopefully they will get their chance just to really push forward and get some more points on the board. But for now, that's where they are. They haven't had a game since the 19th of December, which is a long time ago for a lot of teams. Oh no, since the 12th of December. The 19th of December, sorry. Moving on. Last game from the WSL, Spurs versus West Ham. A lot was made of this in terms of Spurs and West Ham's rivalry from maybe the men's side, but this has now become sort of a men's and women's derby that you kind of think it doesn't matter who's playing for them. It's Spurs and West Ham. It's just a London derby that you have to win. You can't allow Spurs to win it. You can't allow West Ham to win it. So this game was interesting going forward. First goal was scored in the second half. Ayan scoring from a penalty in the 54th minute. And then where everybody's been talking about Katie Longhurst and what she's been talking about with the West Ham players, she gave a speech before the original game. The original game last year in 2021, in this season specifically. And on this occasion, she gets the header that gives West Ham a point against Spurs. And if you see the celebration, you know how much it meant to her. As a lifelong West Ham fan against Spurs, you know how much that meant to her. But well done to West Ham for getting that point, especially going down to 10 players for a long time. Not needed. You could think, well, when I saw the sending off, it was petty, very petty, and it didn't need to happen. It was almost a case of, well, we're just doing this because we can kick the ball away. You didn't need to do it. It's not needed. Hopefully, it's not something that will derail their season anymore. And hopefully, going forward, they'll pick up some more points. But at the moment, yes, that's where they're at. Hopefully, they'll get some more games on. Moving on. We move on. We're now going into the Championship. What a season it's been in this one, with teams ironically being told it's over. There's no longer a team that's going to be playing this weekend in Coventry United. But at the last minute, they were saved. And congratulations. Shouldn't be something that happens in the women's game. Not gonna sit here and say yes, congratulations. It's just something, I've said it, but I feel more about the fact that the women's game needs more teams in the Championship and the WSL, rather than teams being dropped out because they don't have financial backing. This is something that should be easy to be resolved. And the fact that it had needed to be resolved by a local businessman who wanted to take over and help the club, it shouldn't even be a case of this is something that happens. Look, let's not let it happen again. Let's just not let it happen again. But we move on. So a lot of games were called off on the weekend of Saturday the 7th to the 9th of January. But there were games that were played that weekend. One of them being Charlton Athletic versus Sheffield United, which was a 0-0 draw. A point each probably doesn't help both teams, but it still keeps them good and honest within the league and keeps them away from the relegation zone and moving into the top half as well. Moving on, Blackburn Rovers 0, Liverpool 6. Liverpool put in a lot of points and goals on the board. First goal was scored in the first half, Niamh Fahy with the first goal in the 29th minute, and then Kiernan with basically a 6-minute hat-trick. So one in the 52nd minute, one in the 55th, and then one in the 58th. Furness with 2 goals towards the end to make it 6-0 altogether, with a goal in the 68th minute and the 92nd minute to make it 6-0 to the one and only Liverpool, who are looking to return to the big time. They are looking to return to the big time. They've put some points on the board and they've basically played more games, but that probably works in their favour. So look out for that this is going to be one of those seasons where a team is looking to step up quite easily, and it might just be Liverpool that does it this season. Moving on, and we go into the 16th of January. Durham 2, Crystal Palace 3. So this is a big game, massive game, as Durham were really striving to make it to the top 2, and they've lost their way a little bit in the last few games after playing Liverpool a few weeks ago. Heppel with the first goal in the 8th minute. Sharp with a equaliser in the 14th. Hill with a goal in Waldy with a goal in the 31st minute for Crystal Palace to make it 2-1. Then Hill with a goal to make it 2-2. And finally the final goal, scored 6 minutes after into the second half. Wilson with the final goal of the game. Crystal Palace, well done to them. They've now picked up a few more points on the board. They really are going to be, hopefully, motoring towards second place at least. Hopefully. Durham hoping to pick up some more points going forward. Hopefully they won't go all the way back down the table. But right now, they just need to pick up some points. So hopefully they do. We move on. Blackburn Rovers 0, Bristol City 1. Blackburn having a very good season, but they had to play a team who have also played in the WSL. And that's been against Bristol City, where they picked up another win. The goal coming from Harrison in the 16th minute. What a time just to get the goal, and what a moment for Bristol City, because again they've gone down from the WSL last season, or a couple of seasons ago, I believe. But it's one of those where you're kind of going, well, we need to really put some points on the board and at least compete. They haven't shown too much competition for the top spot, as was expected. But again, it is what it is. So, moving on. Charlton Athletic 1, Lewis FC 0. Goal in the 34th minute, the only goal of the game. Hughes with the goal. Hopefully, this gives both teams a chance to reflect and see where they want to be at the end of the season. It's an interesting result, just simply because middle of the table, it's hotting up. There's a lot of teams basically within, I would say about with quite a few points. There's not too many points in between, but let's say that there's a gap between top and then from second down to maybe even ninth. There's a lot of teams scrapping for that middle of the table sort of place. Moving on to the next games. Liverpool 1, Watford 0, with Watford changing their manager for this one. They've had a change in manager, and big ups to Gifton Noel Williams, somebody who I know. who has taken over the reins on a temporary basis at Watford. And it's a big game because when you look at the result from Watford to who they were playing against Liverpool, top versus basically second from bottom, that's a big result. That's a big result to only lose 1-0. Stengel with a goal in the second half in basically 7 minutes from time. So you got to think, well, that's a lot of work that Watford put in and managed to hold on for as long as possible until basically quality told. And well done to Watford. Hopefully they can step up a little bit more and try and get some points on the board, whilst Liverpool continue to go forward. We move on. London City Lionesses 3, Sunderland 1. Another middle of the table clash here, with London City Lionesses getting the win. Primus with a goal in the 5th minute. Moya with another goal in the 31st. Then Rodgers basically making it safe in the 61st minute before Ramshaw basically got the final goal from a penalty to give Sunderland a consolation prize. 3-1 to London City Lionesses. Another middle of the table game where you're thinking, okay, well, let's see how they do. Final game of the round. Sheffield United 3, Coventry United 1. So the team that has been saved, unfortunately, couldn't save themselves from a loss this weekend. However, that's not the big thing here. And especially when the goals came in the final 12 minutes of the match. Roberts with the first goal in the 78th minute, and then Sweetman Kirk with 2 goals in the 81st and the 88th minute before Green gave Coventry United a consolation prize. But the real happiness about this is the fact that the game was even on. So well done to Coventry United for even having the game on. Well done to Sheffield United for getting the win. But that is it. A lot of games played, a lot of results made, and hopefully I will make sure that I'm around for the next round of fixtures. For now, yours truly, JBK, is signing off. Well done, Coventry United. Well done to Birmingham City for their win against Arsenal. Coventry United, stay strong. Hopefully, we have as many games from yourself. Toodles. See you later. Peace.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com